if you're not, I don't want to say failing, because in my mind, you're always learning. Today we're talking about working with your family. Last week we talked about working with your spouse. So why work with your family? What are the pros and cons? We're going to be talking about some of those things. So I'm Mary Ann Whittaker, and I am broker owner for Realty One Group Pacifica. And with me is
Colin Whittaker, newest member of Whittaker Home Team, and almost 3 years into real estate, and loving every minute of it.
So my background is about 7 years in real estate now, and I was 30 years in education before I made this amazing jump to real estate. So we are 2/3 of Whittaker Home Team. Brad, my husband, Colin's dad, is the third wheel, so to speak. So one of the things we want to talk about is what are the pros and cons? Well, first of all, how is it you got into real estate? I kind of shared how I got into real estate, but what about you?
So the way that I got into real estate, I mean, I was pretty much raised in it. So I was just for almost 5 years, 6 years of my upbringing, I was just watching how the whole process went. Just watching you guys manage your clients and your business and just the ins and outs and the behind the scenes of how everything worked, the good sides of real estate and the really bad sides. And so it just gave me a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do. And I saw kind of the freedom that you guys got from it and how you were able to serve your clients and just be able to run your own show. And that was just super appealing to me as I was growing up. So I kind of gauged my whole life trajectory towards real estate. So going into college, went to University of Hawaii, and I was shooting for my business administration degree. And then after some circumstances happened in Hawaii that brought me back home, it just came to me that it was just time to just get right into real estate anyways, considering you don't need a college degree or anything. So working around town through a couple different jobs, just worked on getting my license. And then what do you know, just finally got it in 2020 is when I got it. And then just since then, just been working away, trying to get better every day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I noticed about you growing up is that you have always been entrepreneurially minded. I remember being, whether it's in music, whether it's in clothing and design, all the things you experimented with kind of had your brain going in that direction. And as you found out, as I found out, getting into sales, and we really don't sell anything, we service clients and help them with their needs. But I noticed that was something that was always top of mind for you. You're very much like your dad in that way. Working for the man is not, it's a struggle. You all are super independent and have a way that you want to do things. And like you said, having your time to do what you need or want to do with it has always been really important.
Yeah. And it was just through all the jobs that I had before real estate, it was kind of the same pattern every time. I'd be excited about it just because it was a new job. And so I'd last probably 4 to 6 months before my brain started to get that itch where I just couldn't stand it any longer. It was just a nightmare. And so I just decided that it was kind of time to just start finally taking that step, because I was kind of dragging my feet through my classes because I was 20, 21 as I was going through them. And so I was in this weird kind of mindset where I was like, am I too young for this? Am I not starting early enough? Am I what's going on? And it was this weird kind of mix up in my brain where I knew that it was what I wanted to do, but there was just something kind of holding me back. It was just fear, just anxiety of the unknown. And it was something where I was watching a video. I can't remember where it was. But the video was kind of just one of these motivational clips, and it was saying, if it feels scary to jump, that is exactly when you jump. And so I just decided to finally just get it crushed. And I was dragging my feet for so long, actually, with my classes, that it was to the point where I was working at a coffee shop where I was finishing my classes in the coffee shop while I was working on my computer. I remember that. And so my manager was kind enough to let me do it, which was great. But I'd be making coffee, and then I'd be tapping on my computer to get my classes done or a sum unit done, and then just back and forth for probably 2 weeks just to get it done before the classes expired. And,
I remember that.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I just knew that it was something that I'd love to do, just because, like what you were talking about, working as a shift. Like, I love working as a team or with people, but just the idea of not being in control of what I do with my life or what I do with my work, that was just really painful thinking about that. So
I kind of I often think about when you're making a change, it's almost like being on monkey bars, and you can't move forward on that set of monkey bars until you swing and let go. And there's a period of time where you're hanging by one hand. So it's a little risky. It's a little scary, but that's the only way you can move forward. Right? So bravo. So what are the pros and cons in your mind? I know what are in my mind, but what are they in your mind of working with family? What are some of those, pluses and minuses to being part of the family team?
So the pluses, I would say, are probably just the connection that you already have. I mean, I have not experienced what somebody else in my position would experience coming into a firm where they don't know anybody. So the kind of general, at least maybe in bigger cities, the general path is that you join a team, probably through an internship or just when you first get your license, and you're kind of just the runner for all their stuff. And you're just getting coffee, handing out paperwork, making sure everything's in order for the big dogs, the big producers on the team. But for me, I didn't start on the team right away. So I got my license, and I was just kind of learning on my own through the mentorship program that we have. And then probably actually at my 1 year mark is when I hopped on with you guys on the team. So I never really had to experience any of the hardships, I guess, would be coming from joining a team without knowing anybody. And it's really nice to work with people that you've known your whole life, just because
there's a trust level there.
There's trust, and there's just a familiarity and a comfortability that you would never have in any other situation. And some people might see that as kind of a minus, because, like, at least in my age, because
who wants to work with their parents?
Yeah. And that, to me, that is not that way. I am totally comfortable with that because I just have a super strong connection with you guys. And it's always important to set boundaries, the work-life balance, especially when you are working with family, but it's something that we seem to kind of just come into supernaturally.
Yeah. We do that pretty well.
Yeah, we didn't have to force anything or just learn any new habits. It was all pretty cohesive right from the jump.
So I would say the same thing. Much of the same things. A lot of the pros have to do with a sense of trust and knowing what we've taught you. Yeah. Right. And so we're kind of like-minded in the profession. Some of the other pros, I think, are just logistics. Like when we're gone, I have somebody, and vice versa, that I can trust. We share all the things that we need to in transactions to make sure that all of our clients, whether they're yours or mine or whatever, that they're taken care of. So I think that's a huge benefit and a huge pro. I think it can be a con, like you were talking about. There has to be a level of, I don't need to know all your business. We don't need to know all your business, and vice versa. And I think there can be some, like you were talking about, boundaries. Being really clear with those is really important, and being able to talk about it when any of the parties feel like something's not working well here. Being able to sit down and talk about it, right? Without taking offense, without getting all, as some people might say, maybe not PC, but being butthurt. Just knowing that you got to work through stuff in order and it's not all going to be smooth sailing. And sometimes we have to talk about money, and money can be uncomfortable, especially in family situations. So but I think the pros far outweigh the cons. Yeah. And I'm super thankful. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm likewise. And it's, and some people might see it opposite. They might see some of the things that we see as pros as cons.
Cons, that's true.
And that's fine. I understand that we are a pretty rare group in terms of how we operate. And it's, how do I best describe it? It's really nice being able to work with your parents, because like you were saying, there are tough conversations that you need to have about money or about boundaries.
About life.
Yeah. And I mean, I would assume that you would need to have the exact same conversations with just a regular team that you were working with. But it's nice for us because we've known each other for my whole life. And so it's not something that I need to force or I need to have with somebody that might be a stranger or might still be new to my life. And so yeah, some of those conversations go a lot easier than I would expect somebody to have. So yeah, I'm really appreciative of the setup that we got going. And I think it's a pretty good model for other people that want to do the same thing.
I agree. So one of the things that we talk about a lot is communication, and how do we make that work? Colin's communication style and the way he receives communication is different than mine oftentimes. And so figuring out how to make that work. So I will give you an example. We share, or we're assisting him right now with listings in multiple listing service for a variety of reasons. And Colin and I had done that once. And Brad was assisting Colin with that the second time. And there were just some pieces on the back end of that didn't work very well. So it's a learning curve. So we were able to fix that and move forward, and it's all good. But I think one of the pieces about communication is just being willing to make sure that you are addressing the needs, not just of one another, but of the clients. He does a lot of texting. Has gotten way better at using email and paying attention to it, because we have to keep record of everything we do, right, as real estate agents. And so email has always been very strong for me. I have had to get used to other forms of communication like video, which he is very strong in. So again, we play off of each other's strengths. Right. And we support each other where we need assistance. And that's one of the things that is so, I think, valuable, not just in a team situation, but a family situation. So families that are strong, families that are effective and really supportive of one another, they do all those things. So whether in business or around the kitchen table, it all merges together. Right? I trust you around the kitchen table having tough conversations, and I trust you in real estate conversations just because we have a pattern set and we have a history. So I super appreciate that. Yeah. I think one of the other things is we have different sets of goals, even though we're on the same team. And we can really call ourselves a team because we actually have a designated broker or managing broker as part of our team. Just to clarify, that's Brad. But we do have, even though we work as a team, we have individual goals. So for this year, what are some of your goals as a real estate professional?
So my goals, they haven't really changed since I've started. I mean, they change with just the slightest little variables just based on what I've had going on. But since I started, the main goal has just been able to build up my business so that it is just completely stable. Because that's pretty hard for new agents, especially.
I would say even some experienced agents, that can be hard.
Yeah, and especially people being this young, because it's tough to get stuff rolling right away when you're in your low 20s, because one of the biggest forms is your sphere of influence. And when you're in your 20s, early 20s, not a lot of people in your sphere are ready to buy or sell a house.
True story.
And so it's just about building that sphere and maintaining the one that you have so that when the people that you do know are ready to buy or sell, they're there. So yeah, it's just been a really big goal of mine to just keep everything stable. And there's been some setbacks or some push forwards with that. This last year was a big learning year for me, because I thought I was in a space in my business where I was able to be self-sufficient. So not take any leads, not do anything, just work on my own sphere. And I mean, it was successful. Some could say for somebody my age, just tapping into their sphere. But in terms of the amount that I produced, I would say that it was definitely a setback from the first year where I was taking on leads. So big learning opportunity for me there. And I'm totally okay. I'm totally comfortable with talking about that because it's just a part of the process.
It is
learning. So, I mean, if I'm not failing at anything, then that means I'm not learning anything. So
True.
I'm okay to talk about it and have other people kind of learn the same thing, or if they're going down that path that I went, then they can realize it might not be such a good idea to stop taking leads out of nowhere. So,
and what's really funny is that your dad and I, we had something similar happen in that we learned a lot of lessons from opening an office over in Maui. And we planned out a lot of things that we thought needed to be addressed. But until you get into it, you really don't know. And one of the things that we found out is, shocker, when you're not in a space to be able to have conversations every other month, and even when you are home, people think you're on Maui, the business doesn't come in as consistently. So again, it wasn't a mistake, and we're so blessed that we're there. But we had a huge learning curve, and it's affected my transactional business in a huge way. And so, like you, starting to come out of that this year. But if you are not, I don't want to say failing, because in my mind, you're always learning, right? Yeah. You may have setbacks, but hopefully you're taking those as, we'll call them learning opportunities. Inside joke. And we're moving them forward. So yeah. And I think my goals are very similar to yours in that just moving business forward consistently, having consistency in my daily routines, having consistency in my outreach, and just taking it one step at a time, not looking, really far down the road, because that can take my eye off the ball of what I'm working on right now, because it's kind of back and forth. But don't look in the rearview mirror, because there's nothing that you can change about that. So keep moving forward.
You can just learn from it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's see. Let's talk about why you use Whittaker Home Team.
So I've kind of coined this. It's a really cheesy term, but I love slinging it to anybody that is a potential client. I like saying, when you choose me, you get 3.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's just, it gives off the vibe of like, you're my favorite customer, but it's like, so it's just, I hate saying it, but I love saying it at the same time. And I like it because it is really that, like when when you're working with a team that is actually a family, it's really hard for things to fall through the cracks, because at the point that we're at, we are running a pretty good system with our communication and with getting all the boxes checked and making sure that if I'm predisposed with something, that you and Brad are able to be there for any of my clients, or vice versa. Like when you guys are in Maui, I'm running all the footwork for you guys. So it's really nice for my clients. I mean, they've talked to me about it, and they say it's just incredibly impressive that we're able to be serviced by 3 people, but still not having to pay a 3-agent price. Right. And that's kind of how we have always rolled, even before we were a team. Because like even with Realty One Group, we talk about when you service your clients, the money follows. So it's not about,
take care of you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not about the money, it's about the clients. And then once you make sure that they're taken care of and they're completely fulfilled with everything that they need, then that's when things start coming back to you. So
everything falls into place. Yeah. So
yeah, with Whittaker Home Team, I think it's really, really nice that we are as close as we are, because that's pretty rare. So
yeah, I think that another reason to use Whittaker Home Team is that we are all professional. We have neighborhoods that we are representing well, that we know intimately, whether it's in West Longview or Old West Side or various other spaces in Cowlitz County. We each have experiences in different areas that makes us stronger. One of the other things I love about our team is that we are always learning from each other. It may feel like, oh, you are older, you have more wisdom, whatever. So just a clue for anybody who's listening in, please pay attention to the youngers in your family, because they have all sorts of things to teach you. And you will benefit greatly from it, I promise. You guys may have to swallow your pride a little bit. Not necessarily an unhealthy thing, by the way. But yeah, I love that about us. And if you out there, if anybody has any questions or would like to know more about Whittaker Home Team or Realty One Group, or any sales in our area, any houses, any properties for sale, please give us a call. My number is 360-430-8533, and Colin's is
360-560-2156.
We look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care.
Bye.